know what? I don't know that I ever asked how your last name is pronounced before. Hlas?
Hlas, yeah.
Hlas, all right.
It's Bohemian.
And he is part of the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity up here at Iowa State that's connected to the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And I just want to say that when I first came into this program, we hadn't really had it. With the College Partnership Program, we've been still trying to reach cows and get something going with that. And then I was, Jacob, I believe it was, reached out to me as the social justice chair and said, hey, we heard about your program, we want to do an egg in the classroom thing. Could we talk? Yes, absolutely. So that started that way, and then it has blossomed into this wonderfully beautiful thing. So I'm going to let Jake tell the story.
Well, do I need to use the mic when I talk like this?
Use the mic.
All right. Awesome. Well, my name is Jake Hlas. I'm a junior in animal science, but after that, I think I might go physics. So. Yeah, so I grew up in a truck driving family. When you're behind schedule, you just have to go faster. So we'll keep this short and quick and talk a little bit about what we do. All right, so as Shari said, I'm with Alpha Gamma Rho. We're just about a quarter mile to the south and a little bit to the east, just across the road. And we've had an awesome partnership with ISU and King and Moulton Elementary for just about 2 years now. So who we are real quick. So we're an agricultural fraternity. 100% of our membership is within the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. We have anywhere from agriculture educators to animal scientists to ag engineers, ag business, anything you can think of within cows. We have it. That's our membership. We have 94 undergraduate members that live in-house right now. And our alumni source, though, 2,200 people before us have gone through our house. So we're pretty immense. And then our fraternities are in 74 campuses nationwide. So any campus that has an ag college, you can find an Alpha Gamma Rho. So our partnership beginnings, as Shari said, it started with the people that came before me in my role, but the biggest thing was we started with a college night. We went and we did agricultural activities, and from there it just kind of blossomed and took off. But the biggest thing was we were at a meal with the now president, Wendy Winterstein, at our house, and she challenged our fraternity to step out of the College of Agriculture because we do a lot of things within cows and step out and diversify ourselves and to be able to meet with different walks of life and to meet a lot of different groups. And we tried to do that with this ISU thing, and we had no idea what it would turn into. So our first workshop was in the fall of 2018 at King. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we do at the workshops. But from there on, we started going every month. It's progressed even further from there. But we're in King and Moulton now every month, once a month. So before we got there, though, we started our monthly visits last year at King. And now, at the end of the school year last year, we actually brought maybe about 60 kindergarten students to the ISU dairy farm. It was a rainy day. They got on the buses, had their sack lunches, and it was a good experience. We brought them there. We talked to them about the dairy cows. They actually got to be about 4 feet away from dairy cows on the other side of the glass, and they got to play. We had to move it all inside, but we brought them hats and we brought them ice cream from the dairy club. So we used just about every aspect of cows to be able to show them what actual farming is about. And it kind of stemmed back to our actual workshops where our activities range from anywhere from, actually real quick, to fund our dairy farm tour. Obviously we paid for the buses to get here. We brought the ice cream, and we have supplies to go into it. So every spring we have a philanthropy, we call it Alpha Gamma Rho Down. And it ranges. We have a home cooked meal. Our chef prepares it. We charge an admittance at the door, and then we donate all the proceeds to a good cause. And the cause that we seem more viable than any is ISU for You, and that's going to continue in the future every year. So we made a good donation last year. We're going to continue to do that. But at our Rowdown, we have swing dancing lessons. We used to have a mechanical bull. Insurance kind of shut that one down. So we'll be getting more info on the dates out too, and we'd love to have you all there to be able to see our facilities and then also to support ISU for you in the future. But before I got ahead of myself there, what the partnership looks like today. After the dairy farm, we kind of got the feeling from Shari that maybe we should try and expand to Moulton as well, and maybe that they might have been a little jealous from kind of what I heard of it too. But so we did expand to Moulton this fall, and now we're in King and Moulton. So every month we send roughly 15 volunteers to both schools. We actually run a double rotation at King to make sure that we have a really low ratio facilitator to student. And it's been able to be great to develop relationships and friendships. But our curriculum ranges, today we were talking our farmers market, I know a couple of you stopped by there, which is a crowd favorite. We teach financial literacy to kindergartners, and we teach what agricultural products are, and we try to bring it down to their level. So it's a lot of fun. But another one we do, obviously the field trip. We've done basic needs of livestock. We'll hand them a sheet of paper, give them some crayons, give them some snacks, and each station will talk about one thing of livestock, like cattle, pigs, or sheep need to live. And it's a lot of fun. We brought in balloons and told them air, and then they got to make animals out of the balloons. So it was a lot of fun doing that. And then just a general one of where food comes from. A lot of times we'll walk in the classroom, and the first thing we'll say is, where's milk come from? 99% will say, a grocery store. And, where do you get chocolate milk? Brown cows. It's just stuff like that. So that's kind of why we do what we do, is because there's a very large disconnect between agriculture and the education sector, and just in general in cities and urban life. So we saw an opening for there, a void, and we're just trying to step in there and fill it. Because within our house we have a lot of very passionate agriculturalists, and we know that there's a field that we can go out and spread our love for agriculture and just plant a seed in the lives of some kindergartners that may have never had a chance to talk about ag before. And I think probably one of the most rewarding things though is when we took them to the dairy farm and just then being able to see what ag was, and then just started the questions. And now our first group of kids is first graders now. And we have kindergartners, and we're really looking forward to seeing them one day being at Iowa State with our fraternity still going. So, but the future, we're just going to continue. The biggest thing right now is being able to keep, being able to send volunteers every month. And it's actually kind of funny. Out of the 94 guys, a lot of guys have class and whatnot, but a lot of them will skip to go see the kindergartners. A lot of times I'll have to, bat them off because we can't take everybody. So it's a lot of fun, and the biggest thing for us is just making sure we can continue it without getting to a point where we can't maintain doing the job. And expanding to 2 schools was a big jump from taking 4 or 5 to 15, but I know we have the passion and the drive to be able to continue it. So we're really looking forward to that, and the biggest thing for us is just, like I said, bridging the gap, and it's so much fun to just go speak to the kindergartners and knowing that, they can go out there and they're going to might be able to change their lives if they see something in ag. They don't have to go be a farmer, but farming and ag has a lot of different sectors that you can be a part of. And the biggest thing is just a perspective. Us in AGR, we have a perspective, a lot of us agricultural perspectives, and it's a valuable one, but the perspective we gain from seeing those students that come from, inner city, and speaking with the teachers, I'm just saying, I'm glad students come to school because it might be the only meal they get a day, or the only 2 meals they get. It's something that I couldn't even fathom when we started, and it's been something that's been really cool to learn. So, real quick, if anybody has any quick questions about what we do or how we can be an example to different colleges to continue, I can take 1 or 2 now.
Are you sharing these experiences with your larger organization that are at institutions like ours?
You mean other colleges? So the question was, how are we sharing our experiences with other institutions? So yes, so our national fraternity, we've had a lot of publications about what we're doing with ISU for You. We've been in publications here at Iowa State through Hlas, trying to get the word out, and we've had some people come to us asking if they can do something like this. From a different college standpoint, not really yet. we'd be open to help and open to travel and expand whatever it is. But yes, we've been in quite a few national publications for it. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Did you guys come up with your own activities, or did you use the college to help you come up with something?
So the question was, how do we come up with our curriculum? So I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with what FFA is. Used to be known as Future Farmers America. So we have a really strong FFA presence in our house, and through that is developing a lot of curriculum. So we develop everything on our own. And the hardest part of anything is bringing it down to their level. There's nothing we can do that is too simple, because it's hard sometimes. But yes, we develop all of our own. Anything else? Well, one real quick thing. I just want to thank Shari for everything she does. I'm not sure if she's got any round of applause yet today, but I think she was a good.
It is so fun to watch that happen with the kids down there. It is just to see all of these farmers coming into the classroom, and they're kneeling down by these tables, and all of these kids are around. I remember the first time that we went down and did that. I was amazed at how not amazed. I was pleasantly surprised at how easily they worked with it. And then when I heard about the FFA and a lot of them were in 4-H, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because they are so good with the kids. So it's been a great partnership with that. Unfortunately, Alicia Edwards, who was supposed to talk about the partnership that we have with her, she's not able to be here today. She broke her wrist last Saturday and is having surgery on Monday, so she's having pre-op today. But I'll just really very briefly just say that she teaches a course that is the transfer orientation students going into elementary ed. And so it's a large group of students who are in there, and she allows me to come in at the beginning of each semester and talk about the ISU for You Promise to recruit volunteers to come down into the classroom. And then last year they also did a pen pal project where the college students wrote letters to students in the schools, and then they actually got to go down and read or write a story with them about Psy one-on-one in the classroom setting. And it was so great to watch that happen. And like at the end of their time, they weren't there very long, but it took some work to get the college students to get to their transportation to leave, because they were having so much fun there. And a lot of them continued to volunteer in the classroom. You can see some quotes that Alicia sent. This was my favorite thing to do. I was happy I got to volunteer in a community different from where I grew up. I did ISU for You Promise, and I'm still volunteering with it. It was a great experience because working one-on-one with the students was what I was here for. Loved being able to volunteer at King Elementary. I think this was a great opportunity to get off campus and help the community. I'm continuing with ISU for You Promise because I really enjoy it so much. And so it's been great to kind of build that relationship with the School of Ed in this way. And I am off with one of my slides, shot here. But I do want at this time to, I'm not going to go back through the slides, but we have volunteers here who are those people that drive down once a week. We've got Mr. Nathan, who was mentioned earlier. I don't think you were here when Ms. Kohler talked about you. But if I could have the volunteers who are here able to speak, come on up. There you are. I can see you from So yeah, each of these students takes an hour out of their, 3 hours out of their week basically, because they have to drive down there in the classroom for an hour, and some of them have done it for longer than that. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself, say your major, and how did you first find out about the ISU for You Promise?
Alright, yeah, so my name is Nathan Joel, Mr. Nathan Bibiloni, as I was mentioned. I'm a senior here at Iowa State studying computer engineering, and I found out through about ISU for You actually 2 years ago. At the time I was working at Beacher Hall, kind of in the ground floor of the Student Answer Center, and the 5th graders from King had their field trip at the end of the year, and they came through Beacher while I was working and came up to my desk just for like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes was all I needed to know. I want to volunteer there for the next couple of years.
Alright, my name is Allison McDonald. I'm currently a junior majoring in elementary education. And I actually found out about ISU Promise because I was working at the library one day, working on my social justice homework, and Shari came into the library to check out some books, started talking to me about it, and within like the 3-minute conversation she had with me, I knew I was hooked, and started volunteering last semester.
I'm Saville, and I'm a junior in elementary education. And I found out about ISU Promise because I was looking for a club to join, and I just Googled clubs at Iowa State, and this one popped up, and I thought it seemed perfect for what I wanted to do.
I'm Izzy Mendoza. I'm a junior studying kinesiology, free physical therapy. And I was just actually at Club Fest my sophomore year, just like wandering around. There's like a million things to see. And ISU for You was there with a few of the volunteers in the classrooms. And I walked past and I'd never heard of it before, but I like read the poster and like signed up on the email list. And I was like, oh, I'm in a classroom. That was fast. But I just knew it sounded like something that I wanted to do. So.
Hi everybody, my name is Juan Bibiloni. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering. And the way I learned about ISU for You was actually through another organization on campus called Hlas, which is meant to connect undergraduate and also professional and staff and professional faculty here at Iowa State who identify as Latino males. And the Hlas community, they do a monthly dinner to connect all these resources and really build that community amongst us. And within one of the newsletters that Dr. Alicia sends to all of us, they included a call for volunteers for ISU for You. I had heard about it before, I knew about the great things they did, and I kind of jumped at the opportunity to volunteer last semester.
All right, great. Now I'd like you to say, how long have you been volunteering with the program, and what is one of the best things about doing it?
This is my second year volunteering, and I would say one of the best things for me personally, almost kind of selfishly, but just how much I've remembered or learned again to appreciate education and just the beauty in that. I got like so focused, I think, my first couple years at Iowa State, in my engineering courses, and I just got so focused in on really minute details, and I kind of just forgot to enjoy it all. Going back into these elementary schools, you can see just how much fun they have with it all. I've really appreciated that.
I just started my second semester volunteering with ISU Promise, and I think the best part of it is there's not a lot of kids on college campuses, and that's something, and I love working with little ones, and you know, they're so honest about everything, and they say whatever's on their mind, and so it's really refreshing once a week that you get to go and talk with them and have random conversations like what's your favorite food every week, so.
I've been doing it for the past 3 years, and the best part is definitely going to the classroom and they see you walk in and they're like, Miss Hanna! It's just like all their smiles, it's just like the best. And also developing like relationships with the student throughout the whole year. I've been fortunate to stay in like classrooms for a whole semester and work with the same kids, and it's just really great to develop relationships.
I agree with everything that's been said. Definitely just the one-on-one. I really like individual, like connecting with one student, even if I only talk to 2 students, like have long conversations in 1 week. But I just love like getting to talk to them about random things, like get to know them, ask them about like what did you do at recess, like what did you have for breakfast, like just little things, and just having like that connection that you don't usually get in other settings of volunteering.
Yeah, I mostly enjoyed just after a month or so last semester, which is when I volunteered, going into the classroom every Friday afternoon. It kind of becomes a pattern when you come in the room that just seeing his eyes kind of glow up and and yell out Juan, and that really gives you a lot of energy, and especially the connections I made with particularly the students who were Spanish speaking. Having someone else there, an older student that they could talk to, talk about how their week has been, and really connect with our cultures.
And I'll do one more question. If you could say, I forgot to ask this first, which school are you volunteering in and what grade? And then could you share some moment or some memory that you will not forget, like something happened, hopefully a good one, but
school with Miss Kohler.
What grade?
5th grade, sorry. And I chose that grade because those are the kids that came through when I first learned about it on their field trip. Let me think, a memory that sticks with me. I just always think it's funny when they ask me questions about college. Like they're continually amazed about like dorms and like how I live like at my school. Like I think they kind of think about it like I live in my classroom, which isn't how it works. But just funny moments like that, how they don't fully understand what a university looks like, and I enjoy that.
I'm in a 3rd grade classroom with Miss Brown at Moulton, and last semester, one of the girls was really excited. I came to the classroom while they were writing stories, and she was so excited to show me. She wrote a story about how I volunteer in their classroom every week, and how she loved that. And then, because they all know I'm studying to be a teacher, she did the math and was like, "You graduate the year before I start 5th grade. You can be my 5th grade teacher." I told her if there was a job there, I would jump on that.
I currently do ELL with kindergarten students with Miss Dobson at Moulton Elementary, and I would say, I don't know, they always say something funny, but probably my favorite kind of memory, something that jumps out at me is last year I was in a 4th grade classroom, and this student, I had been reading with him every week when I came, and every week he would save the page that we were on and say, "I haven't read ahead, I saved this for you," and I just thought that was so fun.
So I was at King and now I'm at Moulton. I've been in 1st grade classrooms both places. I've gotten some funny questions too. The ones I remember are like, when they're like, "So how many kids do you have?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know where you're I'm like, "Well, yeah, you have kids. Like, don't you? Like, are you married?" I'm like, not quite, almost, but." And then if I ask like how old they think I am, and it's like 40, maybe? Like, 30? I don't know. I'm like, I guess you really have no reason to know, but it just always makes me laugh.
So last semester I volunteered at a 4th grade classroom in King Elementary, and something that kind of stuck with me was when a student asked about what year I was born, because they were kind of playing a game of like, tell me the year and I'll tell you how old you are, and I said, well, 1998, and they were like, wow, you're really old. Like, how really? Like, I'm only 21. But I guess
Can you give them a round of applause? And just to let you know, if you are an Iowa State student, or if you know Iowa State students who might be interested, we help cover transportation down there too. You can either use an Iowa State vehicle, or reserve it for you, or if that doesn't work for you, we can reimburse your mileage too. So we try not to make a cost barrier for Iowa State students to volunteer in the classroom. All right. So next, I'm going to move through the slides, but I'm going to have.
No, I'll pass on my time. I want the spotlight on you and Kelsey.
Anyway, okay, I'm going to go back to what I'm doing next. Okay, last summer I had the opportunity to attend 2 different really interesting institutes. One was the Facing History in Ourselves Institute and Symposium at DePaul University in Chicago for a week, and there's a whole scope and sequence that goes through it. They've been teaching, or the organization has been around since 1973, and it was started with a case study of the Holocaust, and how did a supposedly cultured society turn into the one that happened during World War II with the genocide and all of that. And over the years, they have created these an enormous resource set for teachers of social studies and history and language arts and all of this, that takes a look at history, not in the way that I was taught history, but really gets into the meat of it. And you're asking really good questions along the way, and I'll get to those. I am going to go through my slides real quick. And this is what she would do a much better job on this than I would have more with it. But it's this whole idea, this journey at a glance, talking about identity. How do I identify? How do I identify myself? How do I identify others? we and they, how do groups define themselves? You know, who decides who belongs and who doesn't? History, confronting the moral issues along the way, the questions that are inherent with that. The judgment, the memory, and the legacy. I remember talking about, you know, a lot of times you hear people say, well, I would never, if that had happened today, I never would have done that. You know, I never would have. But then it's really easy to judge that because we weren't there, and to what are we saying those same, would we have that same answer today? Are we doing enough, or are we getting involved in it? And when he gets to choosing to participate. So that was one, it was a really powerful week for me. And then the other workshop that I went to was it was by Dr. Eddie Moore, and it's the book, The Guide for White Women Who Teach Black Boys. How many of you are familiar with this book? It's great to see. I think that every single, if I can do a plug for the School of Ed, I think every single teacher in the School of Ed needs this book. And it needs to be studied, it needs to be discussed. And as I have read through that, and as I went to the workshop last summer, I was like, I want to have these conversations. We are at a place in time where we need to have these difficult conversations and get into the messy work of becoming, or about talking about racism and how systemic racism and institutional racism and prejudices and biases that we all have are there, and how do we create opportunities for the teachers, how do we prepare those teachers who may be coming from areas where they haven't seen anybody who is non-white until they come to the university, and then they're going to be becoming teachers and possibly teaching in an urban environment, having never had an experience with that. How do we prepare them for that? And so anyway, I came back from those workshops, and I was really excited about working through these conversations, and so I offered up to King and Moulton teachers and with the ISU free prom schools, would you like to do this book study? We had some funding available that was able to fund books for I think we started with 8 teachers who we meet on a monthly basis, and we're discussing this book. We're having the messy conversations about race, about all those things and how it plays out in a classroom setting in the educational system. And that was me. I would like to have Kelsey, Jenn, come up. She's an interventionist at Moulton Elementary, and she is one of the teachers who is participating in this book study that we are doing. And she's going to tell you all about the why.
So my name is Kelsey Jenn. I'm currently an interventionist at Moulton, but I also taught 4th grade at King for 6 years, so I kind of have a unique experience of teaching at both schools that are part of the ISU for You Promise. I guess I'm just going to kind of give you a background on me and what led me to want to be part of this book study, and then kind of go into the why of kind of exactly what Shari said, why all future teachers should read and study this book. So there's a page of this book, or a quote in this book that I read that I was like, wow, that's literally me. It's written in here like me, underlined. When I started teaching, I reflected this demographic. White, middle class, and raised as a Christian. I attended all white schools and religious services. I brought with me many of the assumptions about race and culture that a large percentage of white teachers have. Going beyond pure demographics, these ideas may help explain the disconnect between white teachers and black students. So I was raised in I'm from Waterloo, Iowa, so not a super small town, but being in Catholic school there, it felt like I was in a super small town, predominantly white. My experience when we did have students of color join us, I remember hearing all the stereotypes, all the things you hear, and at that time, that to me was normal. I didn't give it a second thought. So then, going through my teacher training, and you have your typical diversity training class that I couldn't tell you what I took away from it, to be honest. And then I got a job at King and was thrown into it, kind of like Jackie talked about being young and new and not experiencing a demographic other than your own. That was me. And at that time, I didn't know or understand why that mattered. They talk about, well, you just love everybody and you just want to treat them kindly, and that's all it takes. And I was like, yeah, that's all it takes. So throughout my career, I was also offered the chance to get my master's degree through Drake through the Des Moines Blue program. And that's really when my work and my deeper understanding of why it matters started. I remember sitting through classes at Drake and like almost mourning my first 3 years of teaching and feeling grief for those students that I know I did a disservice to. I still think about them all the time, and I just wonder what kind of impact I could have had, or what I did have, not knowing what I know now. So that's kind of my journey. So when Shari sent that email, I knew I wanted to, I graduated with my master's, and I have been doing my own independent reading, but authors like Hlas and finding things that still kept me grounded in this work. And when this came along, I knew that I needed to be a part of it to keep the work going. So, we are now meeting on Monday about part 2. But I'm going to focus more on part 1 of the book, which really speaks on the why and why this is important. So I'm just going to give you a lot of this is I pulled from the book, so I don't want to cite these as my own original ideas, because they're not. These are just the things that I'm reading that I'm like, wow, yes, this is reinforcing the importance of this work. So, let's see. We as white women, when we come into teaching, we bring stereotypes with us, especially if we don't have that experience growing up. It's an implicit bias. It's something that needs to be recognized. Schools were created to keep Black boys out. I mean, that was the original intention of schools. So we talk about systemic racism and oppression, and the original intention of school. And when Mr. McCullough and Ms. Barnes were here talking about GT and the system that is and the archaicness of it, schools are still that way. And I remember even teaching at King and having one of our morning talks, and you brought up Ms. Barnes brought up kids can do school. And I've had this conversation with Mr. McCullough too. They can do school as school is. They can survive it. But what are we doing to help make sure they're thriving? And that's what this work is all about. So we have to acknowledge that that is happening. One of my favorite parts of the first part of the book is this whole section on why loving them is not enough. We obviously have to love our students, but that's not going to take care of years and years of systemic damage that's been done. That's not enough. And it's not enough it doesn't always acknowledge it. And if we're not acknowledging that that's happening, if we're kind of just saying, well, I don't do that now, or that doesn't happen now, it's ignoring all the damage that has been done. So when they talk about, of course we love our students, but we're acknowledging the fact that their starting line is at a different place, their finishing line is at a different place because of the systems that are put in place for us. And so then what are we doing to dismantle them is a big thing that I'm getting away from this now. I definitely jumped around in my notes here a little bit, so what this book is helping me to unravel is the lie behind the way we inherently treat our Black males. One of the authors pointed out, and this was another big aha moment for me, that as a society, especially as a white society, we're taught to look for deficits in others, not reflect on ourselves. So this immediately gave me a why to the existence of white saviorism and this desire to fit